welcome back to Electronics Jensen. Now today I want to talk about something that probably is relevant if you're in the market for a new tumble dryer. Specifically if you're looking for a heat pump tumble dryer. And that is, where exactly can machines like this one be placed? Or correction, can you really buy a heat pump tumble dryer? I know that sounds completely strange when you consider that this. It's not an up close shot, by the way. This is the best I could do. The problem is these machines, and this one is, well, this is a more bottom end appliance, but there is one problem, which is that these things cannot be put in outdoor buildings. Like I'm in my garage right now. This thing had to come in here simply because there was nowhere in the actual house for this machine to go. And now this dryer was actually brought from our old house, which originally was in a utility room, and so it didn't have a problem. But since it's been in here, we've started to see a big design flaw with heat pump tumble dryers. So long story short, heat pump tumble dryers don't have a heating element. Instead, in here, there is a compressor unit that, like you'd find in your fridge, and that, because one of the advantages is that this kind of machine can use less power. It uses less electricity, and therefore it's more economic to run. It's economic to run, but when they're full, boy, do you pay dearly. And this dryer had a terrible winter, so to speak. Because what happened was, if I open up the door, this door is cold to touch right now. And what happened was, how these work is, when the warm air in the machine goes through the fluff filter and down to the unit here, it's supposed to condense that warm moist air and then go through a pump which is collected in a tank at the top here. But because this was in a garage, this dryer struggled in the cold temperatures. What happened was, the door was so cold, the moisture just condensed onto the door, down the fluff filter, turn that back on, down the fluff filter, and into the bottom, and it all condensed onto here, instead of going through the heat exchanger or the condenser. And I don't know if you can see clearly on this camera, but this has filled up with full of fluff, and that is the problem. Once these dryers fill up with fluff, this heat pump, to gain access, this whole machine has to be stripped apart. Who is prepared to do that? I probably would, but I guarantee most people will not be prepared to disassemble entirely a heat pump tumble dryer to gain access. I can guarantee you, not many people are prepared to disassemble heat pump tumble dryers. I mean, I'm willing to, but seriously, if I just open up, you can see it here has absolutely blocked up with fluff. Now, I do keep this clean, so luckily it's not as bad. This dryer is about 4 years old, which is and unfortunately, the life expectancy of these heat pump tumble dryers is roughly about 5 years. Now, luckily, there is now new systems on the top end brands that actually have self-cleaning condensers, where the water from the tank comes down here into the heat exchanger and cleans out the fluff, and then it's pumped back up. And that is clearly something, if you could afford one now, because they're more expensive than this cheaper one, which is a manual filter, something like this, that you have to regularly clean out yourself, then definitely go for that. But the main thing I want to talk about today is, can you actually have one? What I mean by this is that this dryer requires high warmer temperatures to function properly. Therefore, if it's in a cold space like a garage, now luckily it's quite warm today, which is amazing for the bloody British weather. But on the flip side, if it's put in the garage and it's winter, you're going to have the exact same issue we had where this condensed all the way through the machine. And then it just floods at the bottom, which means that if you're going to use these dryers in the winter and you've got it in an outdoor building that's below, say, 10 degrees, they're never going to dry. That was the thing. This dryer would take about 7 hours to dry a set of towels, and they'd be absolutely dead. They basically didn't dry at all, which is a real inconvenience, especially in those months. Even if I put it on again and again, it'd eventually dry, but it'd take days to do. And then this dryer, which is supposed to do it in, supposed to have less energy, all of a sudden is going to use a lot of bloody energy because you can't dry on the first load. Now, so if you're going to buy a heat pump dryer, you need to really have a dedicated space in your house for it. So if you've got a utility room that has space for a dryer, go ahead, buy one, because you'll have no issues with regards to those issues at all. But if you're someone like me who hasn't got the dedicated space, personally, I'd say go for a standard vented or condenser, which is itself going to be a problem as they're going to be phased out soon, and you're only going to be left with heat pump tumble dryers. And that's the next thing. If it's only heat pump dryers that are going to be available, these people are not going to buy them because they've got nowhere for them, and not only are they going to be expensive, but that means if they're expensive, you expect them to last long, and they're not going to last that long, and you're going to have issues. Cold temperatures. This dryer, I guarantee you, has probably just lost most of its lifespan from that one winter in this garage. Now, I turn the power on back here. I'll plug this back in. Close the flap. Close the door. And press start. I know you won't be able to see that very well, but it takes a couple of minutes for the compressor unit at the bottom to start. Oh, there we go. So this dryer is just working like a bog standard dryer. The heat pump will come on and warm up the air in the dryer, go through, and then it goes down through the bottom. So I'll take this out. It's going to go through the heater unit and into, and then all that condensed water goes through the pump into the tank at the top. But this dryer is now in the months where we're perfectly fine to have it in here. But if you're seriously thinking about getting a heat pump tumble dryer and you've not got dedicated space inside the house, that is literally inside your house, if it has to go anywhere else, don't bother, because it'll break quicker, it's not going to be that reliable, well, because it'll clog up. And overall, if you're thinking of buying heat pump tumble dryer, please take this into consideration and do not put them in outdoor buildings, only in your house. I hope that you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching.